Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta tell you, I have a story to tell you today. I got about 3 or 4 stories to tell you today. We're going to talk about some legal stuff, and I'm going to talk about Warren H., what Warren is still going through to get here, but his plans have not changed. And then I'm going to tell you about the Lucky story. So, the first story I want to tell you about is in the title, whatever that title was. Let me see what that title was. It was about Warren H. coming. Overstay fines. Okay, so during the process of looking into Warren getting to the Philippines, I've had to speak with, I've called 2 immigration officers. They still don't answer the phone, but I did speak with someone about the overstay fees and leaving and coming back to the Philippines, because Warren is basically coming to the Philippines, and that series of events that Warren will have to go through is similar to someone that is leaving the Philippines and coming back. So during the course of the conversation, the price of overstay fees, if Warren were to come here for some reason, and he couldn't leave for some reason, doesn't matter, would there be penalties and how much the penalties would be? And the man was absolutely clear as day that the Philippines government, no matter the reason, is not what they call quashing, Quashing, quashing fines. Now that means that they're going to charge you for overstay. So if Warren were to come here and get stuck in hospitals, let's say, for whatever reason, he would have to pay X amount of pesos per day, per day. Shout out, baby. Chi Corsaz is here. Chi Corsaz and I will soon be having dinner together. Welcome to the machine, the lovely Chi Corsaz, who has lost a lot of weight. You can certainly see that. Your waist is getting down to like 6-pack abs. I doubt that anybody would ever be able to notice the 6-pack abs, considering what would be sheltering those 6-pack abs, Chi Corsairs. But you are looking thin and slim. Thanks for stopping by. And Warren, oh my God, Warren. Oh my God, Warren is here. Warren will be able to confirm some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. And I just want Cheesy to know that you would look pretty in pink. That's right, Chi. In fact, I did a whole live stream about pink the other day. So you would look pretty. And I have this piece of pink cloth that we could just drape over you when you get here, and I won't tell anybody if you don't tell anybody. It's really was going to be a tablecloth, but to cover up that figure-8 body that you got right now, I think you're going to need a little bit more of this cloth. We'll have to custom renovate this cloth for you. I will be the one to do the tailoring, put the pins in and make the marks with the magic mark, or I will be the one. That's right, baby. You would look pretty in pink. It's her favorite. That's cool, Chi. Thanks for stopping by. we have a big show today, Chi. We're going to talk about some legal stuff. Actually, Chi, you being that you're here, you might be interested in this. But we're going to talk about the overstay fines and what the agent at the airport told me, that if, first of all, for Warren to come here, any new arrivals to the Philippines or people that leave the Philippines and come back, the rules are changing so that no longer can you go, like, say, let's say you left from Cebu International Airport and you went to Vietnam for like a week, let's say. Well, you can't do that either. So you have to go to Vietnam and spend 14 days in quarantine. Now, I don't know what the prices are there. They're about 2,000 pesos a day. But when you come back, you could not fly into the Bohol airport. You might, depending on where you go, you might be able to go back into Cebu, but in all probability, they're changing the rules so that you won't be able to go back from Vietnam to Cebu. Even if you left from Cebu, you would have to go to Manila first. From Manila, the officer of immigration this all has to be prearranged. You just can't get off a plane. So before you get on the plane in Vietnam, you have to make sure that there's a quarantine officer notified in Manila first. That's the first thing. So when the plane lands, and of course there is going to be a quarantine officer, what you're notifying him is of your name. Everybody on the plane is going to be quarantined. There are no exceptions to that for tourists or just regular visa holders. So the quarantine officer, but he has to be notified before you get on the plane. However they do that, I don't know. That's something that Warren is working on. Now, you get off the plane in Manila, and the quarantine officer says, would you like this? Do you have options of where to go? Would you like to go to one of our local schools, a regular educational school facility, and be put in one of the classrooms in a quarantine environment? But they don't have air conditioning in the classroom. So however that works out, that's the least expensive way to go. And they wouldn't give me a price because it depended on what school and what facilities were available at the schools, number one. Number two, you have a choice to go to a hotel that you pre-selected before you came to Manila. At which point, the quarantine officer will put you in an ambulance by yourself and bring you to the school or bring you to the hotel of your choice. At the hotel, the ambulance will bring you to your room. You will be put in the room and you're not allowed to leave the room. If you leave the room, it's a mandatory 90 days either in jail or further quarantine. Doesn't matter. No exceptions, unless, of course, you were dying and sick. But if you leave the room and you break your quarantine, it's an additional 90 days, either in quarantine or in jail. So now you get to the hotel, and the hotel is going to charge you. In Warren's case, we picked out a hotel for about $50 a day in Manila. So that's going to be 5 days, $250. It's 1,000 pesos for the ambulance to the hotel and 1,000 back. So it's $250 plus another $50 for the ambulance fee, roughly. So that's $300. However, getting to Bohol from Cebu, you have to go from Manila to Cebu. there are no flights directly from Manila to Bohol. So Warren has to go to Cebu. If there are no flights to Bohol, which today there aren't any. So he would have to be quarantined in Cebu for 14 days. Again, the quarantine officer in Cebu will give you a choice: a school facility or a public building or a hotel. So add 14 days of quarantine to your 5 days. So just let's say 20 days. But in Cebu, the hotels start at 3,000 pesos a day. So that's 45,000 pesos plus 15,000 pesos in Manila. That's 60,000 pesos. Then when that 14-day quarantine is over, again with the ambulance to the hotel and back, when the 14 days is over, then there's 14 days of quarantine in Bohol. So that's 14 and 14 is 28 and 5 is 33 days. A nice Masonic number, go figure. But that's 33 days of quarantine. Now, are there cheaper hotels than 3,000 pesos a day? Yes, but typically they're not air conditioned and the food is not so good. That's 3,500 for Warren in Bohol, and the same in Cebu for a good hotel with good foods. Now, at no point will any of these restrictions change at this time. There's no notice that these... Now, the possibility, the officer said that they will change August 1st, but there's no guarantee for that. So if you had to leave the country and come back as an overstayer, well, that would be what you'd be subjected to. Leave the country, quarantine in Vietnam, come back to Manila, quarantine in Manila, go to Cebu, quarantine in Cebu, and then come to Bohol and quarantine in Bohol. So you're looking at 14 in Bohol, 14 in Cebu, 5 in Manila, that's 33, and 14 in Vietnam. There are 47 days of quarantine. That's what that would be to, let's say you had to get an exit visa, or you wanted to just go to Vietnam for a vacation. You're looking at 47 days of quarantine and approximately 3,000 pesos per day. Now, there's something else you should understand. When you're in Vietnam, if you leave after 14 days, if you leave the compound that you're in, the hotel, you can only go back to the airport. You cannot travel around Vietnam. You could, but then when you want to go back to Cebu, you have to do another 14 days, which would be 61 days in quarantine. So that's not exactly what, it's exactly what Warren has to do from the time he gets to Manila forward. So Manila, Warren spends 5 days in Manila, 5 days and 14 days in Cebu, and then another 14 days in Bohol. So that's 33 days. Warren doesn't seem to care about that, and he certainly doesn't care about the costs of that. So we're working on that. Now, the quarantine officer did say that because Bohol has an international airport, what they call Bohol International Airport, he said that there are flights called the red eye flight once or twice a week to the island of Bohol. And Warren would be welcome to jump on that flight. Now, if there is a flight, right now there are 1 or 2 flights a week, but that might change on August 1st. So he didn't say there was a guaranteed flight. He said right now there are 1 or 2 red-eye flights, and those are for government workers and different types of consulates and attaches to the consulate. Those are for like authoritative figures. So there's 1 or 2 red-eye flights right now that Warren could get on. So let's go to the comments. Warren is here. Pinoy Ahoy, welcome to the machine. Pinoy Ahoy, welcome to the machine. If you guys want a big shout out, you go to Pinoy Ahoy's channel or Cheesy's channel. Cheesy will give you a big shout out as well. Thanks for stopping by. Pinoy will take a picture of your channel page and post it on his live stream and give you a shout out. Warren says, I've decided to just swim there. We can't get out of Australia. Now things have changed again. Oh boy, things have changed again. Even since I did the notes on this live stream yesterday and this morning. We can't get out of Australia right now. And they are talking about this virus going on to stage 4. So if Warren leaves, he can't leave Australia. Wow, that's a trip, Warren. Wow. So that is trippy. I did send you an article about Australia and their quarantine restrictions, but it wasn't that bad. Yesterday. When did this new restriction go up? All right. Well, he's saying that August is so locked up at the moment Australia can't get international post in or out. I have packages backed up from 3 months ago. Well, I guess Warren's not coming to the Philippines anytime soon, baby. But anyway, if that's what you need to do, get to the Philippines. They're making it really, really hard. They are making it really hard. So we see Maureen, Michelle Ken Vlog. I know that you're a very, very, very frequent vlogger of the Hapsters. Welcome to the machine, Maureen, Michelle Ken Vlog. Thank you for stopping by. Wow, we just got some bad news, Maureen. Warren is set back from getting into the Philippines. But that doesn't change the information I got in regards to leaving the Philippines if your visa is overstayed. So the overstay visa is still leaving the country. Well, we'll just use Vietnam again. Staying in Vietnam for 14 days, ambulance to the hotel in Vietnam, ambulance back from the hotel in Vietnam, back to Cebu, unless you have an international airport on your island like Bohol. But those flights are not so often, and they might stop on August 1st. Back to Cebu for 14 days. No, excuse me, to Manila for 5 days. 14 and 5 is 19. 14 days in Cebu, that's 29, 33. And then 14 days in Bohol, that's 37, 47 days of quarantine. Now, those 47 days will cost about 3,000 pesos per day. So I asked, just in case, I said, what if someone is overstayed? Is there a way to negotiate those fines? Because they're not fees anymore, they're considered fines. Is there a way to negotiate those fines down? And they said, the officer said, due to the fact that the Philippines is not economic, the commerce in the Philippines has slowed down he said, in all probability, the fines will not be negotiable. And when I asked how much they were, he said they could be, at this point, it's not determined exactly what the fines could be, but it could be 1,000 pesos per day. That's what I was told. Now, he wasn't an immigration officer in charge of fines or penalties, but he did know that the fines could be up to 1,000 pesos a day, and then depending on how many months that you overstayed your visa, it could be, there might be a diminished amount later on. He didn't say that, but there might be an added amount to 1,000 pesos a day. He didn't say that either. He just said the fines could be, they're working on the penalties now, 1,000 pesos a day, and they probably won't negotiate any of the fines because the Philippines basically needs the money. He didn't say that, but he said basically the Philippines, that would be revenue for the Philippines. So what we have here is I happen to have heard a blogger talk about another blogger that was overstayed in the Philippines. It was more than, it was from, if it's true, it was years. So I don't know what that comes out to. I don't know what the penalties were in the past. All I do know is that now the authorities are looking at 1,000 pesos a day. And that just makes it nice and simple, a round number. That was not a determined amount. So what we have as far as penalties and fines for overstay, we're done with that topic. We're going to move right on to the next topic. And the next topic is, I have to, Spanky. I see Spanky is in the house. The next topic is unjust vexation. So what I want to talk to you about after I say hello to Spanky 9067. Spanky says he's happy that Warren and Michael are joined in this adventure to build the hotel. Well, it looks like it's going to be set back a few months, but that's okay. It'll just give us more time to set up the parameters of what needs to be done here, and it won't, there are, Spanky, I can say that Warren can certainly use the extra time. Warren has something that needs to be done in Australia that will help him while he's in the Philippines. And to get all that stuff done by August 1st, it didn't seem that it was going to happen likely to me. Plus, actually, his everything that he got as far as the passport and the visa was set back like 10 days. So not only does Warren have other legal things to do in Australia, but he also has personal things to take care of in Australia. So this added time frame about the not being able to travel, that works out well for both Warren, and it certainly works out well for me because I have personal things and legal things to do here. And I have several meetings coming up in the next few weeks. So one of those meetings involves something called unjust vexation, which is my next topic. So let me explain to the people out there what unjust vexation is. So let's say I live in a place. It doesn't matter where it is that you live. Let's say we could use, I live at my house in Key Largo. Let's say I still lived in Key Largo, and we were going through a legal case together, where I was going through a legal case in Florida because the neighbor had encroached. Her fence encroached on my property 6 feet. Okay, so my lawyer told me to not talk to my neighbor. Her lawyer told me, her not to talk to me. And that's how it went for 7 years. We never talked to each other. We would see each other in the backyard. It was just a cyclone fence, and it was a concrete wall too, but we'd see each other at the back of the property. We just didn't talk to each other. But let's say I started harassing that woman, either with an email or letters to her house. Her name was Joyce. Let's say I did that. Or I went and sent an email to Brian that lived next door to Joyce. Okay? And I said to Brian, her fence is on my property 6 feet. I think her fence is on your property 2 feet. But Brian didn't solicit my help and didn't want my help. Well, by me sending a letter talking about Joyce that was unsolicited and unwarranted, if Brian got upset that I sent him a mail starting shit between him and Joyce, who were friends, Brian could take that email to the local authorities and file charges of unjust vexation. That's the law. And that's the law, not just in America, but it's also the law in the Philippines. And it's the same name. The law is the same wherever that law holds true. So that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about. And now, stalking. Stalking is a very serious charge. So if I went to Brian's Facebook page and put up a picture of his house, or I made a video of Brian's house, and without Brian's permission, and Brian complained to the police in Key Largo that I put up a picture of Brian's house, Key Largo police would maybe come and ask me, did I post that picture? And if it had an email address or my YouTube channel address on it in Key Largo, where I always had videos in Key Largo, I could be charged in Key Largo, Florida. I could be charged with somehow, it's a derivative of stalking. I could be charged because what if I said to the police, I didn't take that picture? Well, the police wouldn't care whether I took the picture or not. The police would simply care that, is this your YouTube channel or is this your email that you sent this picture to people in your email account or on your YouTube channel? At which point, if I had a video up with Brian's house in the email link to the video, that would be considered stalking. Now, that charge differentiates from one country to the other. But let's say I told the police, I didn't take the picture, I just put it on my YouTube channel, or I just put it in my email, and it's a house in Key Largo. The police don't care about that. The police care that you were the one who posted the picture illegally because you have a beef with Joyce. They don't care who took the picture. They don't give a flying crap who took the picture. You and Joyce are in a lawsuit, and you were told to leave Joyce alone and not harass Joyce. And you are now posting pictures of Brian and Joyce's property line, making the accusation that her fence might be on his property, unsolicited, making an accusation that Joyce's fence is on Brian's property. Brian didn't ask you to be his surveyor. Brian didn't ask you to be his advocate for a legal land dispute. Brian didn't ask you for anything. Brian and Joyce have been friends for 25 years. Brian was born on that property. Joyce owned the house back in the 90s. Nobody gives a shit whether I took the picture of the fence line in question. The police only care that I put the picture up on my video and made mention of Brian and Joyce in the video, saying that maybe Joyce's fence is on Brian's property. Unsolicited. Basically, it's unjust vexation, but it's unsolicited harassment, and in Key Largo, it's considered stalking. So those things that have happened in the past in Key Largo are universal, those terms. So if you think that you're going to post a picture of someone else's house anywhere in the world, and just because you didn't take the picture and you think that's okay, well, it may and it may not be okay. So those are things that you will have to go to the local authorities, file a complaint, and then based on what the detective or detectives say, they will, after they read your complaint, after you put your fingerprint on the complaint, after you swear that this is a true story, that everything that you said is true, under penalty of perjury, after you swear that's all true, then let's say you went in on a Wednesday afternoon at like 1 o'clock, and then they said come back on Friday. It'll take 24 hours to type it up, because what you do is you write it down, and as contract, anybody that understands business, it's printed, written, typed is the most legal document. So you may have printed or written it in script, but then when they type it out, it becomes a legal document. So when the legal document is printed out, you go back on a Friday and say, sir, is my document ready yet? And they say, yes, sir, your document is ready. We're going to have a detective come in and interview you about this document. So it depends on where you are. It depends on what they believe is true. But one thing that you should know is that because Joyce and I were in a legal dispute, I am not allowed to harass her neighbors. I am not allowed to send her emails or the neighbor emails. That's unjust vexation. I am not allowed to post pictures of Joyce's fence, Brian's house, or Joyce's house, unless they request it. Other than that, it's unjust vexation and possible stalking. I just want you to know that I like to keep up on the law, and I hear a lot of stories about, there was something else. Well, I really won't talk about that right now, because there's a lot of stories going on around the internet about me and Warren, and that accusative of Warren Hunt and Michael Fazio being gay. Okay? That is absolutely, positively something that the authorities can look into. There is no doubt that you can file a complaint against something like that as well. There's no doubt that you can file a complaint that a repetitive nature of someone calling Michael Fazio and or Warren Hunt being gay for each other multiple times in multiple venues on multiple different YouTube videos. you can file a complaint against something like that. It's not illegal. What would happen if it was just a singular event? The detective would probably say, man, is it really worth it to do this? But if you are involved, if you're involved with a legal issue and you start making accusations like that Warren and Michael are gay for each other and they'll do anything for each other because they're lovers or possible lovers or possible gay lovers or gay for each other or doing gay stuff on Skype, that's harassment. You can file a charge for harassment for that. So you people out there that are doing all of this crazy shit on YouTube, I just want you to understand that a lot of this stuff that you do because it comes out of your head and you think it's okay to do this is serious harassment. This is serious maligning of the character of Warren Hunt, a 19-year veteran, and Michael Fazio, someone who has never been to not even a pornographic site on my computer. In 30 years I've had a computer, and you are accusing us of being gay for each other and licking each other's appendages. That's slander, maligning a person's character, and harassment and bullying. So if you don't think that those things can be brought up, if you think for an effing minute that you're allowed to do that, if you think that's all okay, well, then what I want you to do is do some more of those videos, because right now we only have about 7 videos to reference where directly it is spoken that Warren Hunt and his daddy, Michael, are gay for each other. We only have about 7 videos of that nature right now, today. But there are other videos about the Shaq guy being in love with the Aussie guy. There's other videos about the Shaq guy sucking the appendage or licking the boys and sucking the stick, STICK, sucking the stick of the Shaq guy. And these are great. Keep it up. We have the ability to move forward. But if you want to continue and give us even more angst, more fodder for the cannon, be my guest. You are, at this point, have incriminated or possibly incriminated yourself in so many different ways that it doesn't matter what you say anymore. You should understand that unjust vexation is real, and you can be charged with that. And that slander, maligning of character, defamation, saying that Warren and I are sucking each other's appendages and using names in the videos, you guys got to be kidding, right? You got to be kidding. What I would suggest you do is just print out our names in full. Don't refrain yourself from the Shaq guy to Fazio or the Australian guy put another prawn on the barbie. Don't do that shit. Just put the names right out there. Especially being that you go on camera and do it and you think it's okay. Ha! We're going to find out all about that. Oh, and what I suggest you do is don't just send it out to everybody on YouTube. Send it well. Because we can't. But you should say, look, it's okay I say that Warren and Fazio suck each other's appendage. It's okay I say that. It's okay. Fucking idiot. And back to the comments. Warren says, Mr. Hopsters are here, baby. Oh my God, we got a lot of comments. We can't get out of Australia right now. Maureen, August is locked up at the moment. Okay, the new restrictions pending stage 4 are to be announced this week. Think Australia is a test bed for this virus stuff. I agree, Warren, based on the article I sent you yesterday. But I'm still working on my passport. Arrived on Friday, sitting safe in place. All right, so Warren, his passport was supposed to arrive on the 12th. It didn't come until the 17th. So that's not so bad. The next step is the visa. Warren says, I'm getting those things that broke fixed today, if you get what I mean. I sure do, Warren. I do. I understand. Take your time. Spanky 90 says hello to Warren, says hello to Spanky. Pedro Rojas Cervantes. Pedro, for short. Welcome to the machine, Pedro. The Hopsters. Love, love, love. Now, the Hopsters are a real vlogging, blogging channel. Both of those people, the Mr. and the Mrs. Hopster, videography skills. They both hold the camera steady. Almost at all times, Mr. and Mrs. Hopster's words are audible. Very rarely do you get a soundbite that's not audible. Yesterday, it happened when you were in your car. I think you had the microphone covered. I could hear you, but I had to turn up the volume. So, but their live streams are crisp and clear, and they run off data, and they go onto a beach, an actual walk on a sandy beach, and if you say hello, Mrs. Hopster put down the names of the bloggers that said hello with a big stick in the sand last week. I thought that was really cool. She also knows most of the people that go to Mrs. Hopster's page. I think that's really cool too. And she is also always, like, I would say she's the top dressed woman vlogger, female Filipina woman blogger in the community. She's got the nicest mask. She has the nicest clothes. Her hair is always neat and prim and proper. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Hopster run a great channel. Mr. Hopster, he's an excellent vlogger as well. So if you want to go to a vlogging channel and you want to learn about Hawaii, then that would be the channel to go to. And they bring you all over. They brought us to the stores yesterday through a very long main road, and on the top right-hand corner was the big carnival ships or the big ocean liners where they had the passengers. I thought that was cool, to be on a main road and then to see a huge ship. The ship was probably 20 stories high because it was higher than all things around. So that wherever they go, they're doing a live stream, and they're showing you the real roads, the real streets, the real stoplights, the real stores in Hawaii. So I would suggest you go to the Hopsters channel. Pedro says, no bad thanks. Getting a bit anxious about an expat, Cano, friend living in Mexico, who I haven't from in a few days. You missed some words there, buddy. I know you're a long-term subscriber and blogger, but there's a couple of words missing out of that sentence. You might want to copy it down and add the words that are missing. I think I understand, but I'm not exactly sure. I'll give you time, and you're welcome to copy it and add the words, please. By the way, I have been giving the name of a good law firm in Cebu, says Warren H. I have already sent them 862 videos to review so far. They wrote back saying they are amazed the maker had not been sued before this. I think that's an exaggeration, 862. But I do know for a fact Warren is in the process of getting a legal solicitor. And I don't think there's 862 videos. I think that's an exaggeration. But Warren is going to do a whole bunch of legal stuff. There are, I will tell you though, there are, for a fact, there are more than 1,000 videos, about vloggers in the Philippines and not in the Philippines, that if they were to be presented, if, this is a big if because they can't be presented, most of them, but if they were to be presented to a group of our peers, and if you were to hear somebody rant on and rave about somebody like, I'm trying to think of an example of someone who wouldn't mind me mentioning, Big Kevin. If you were to hear a rant about Big Kevin, it wouldn't matter what the person said to defend themselves, considering the hateful content of what was said about Big Kevin. Now, Gary from the Philippines Experience, he has videos. Now, that guy has some videos against him from a particular vlogger on YouTube, that there would be no way that you would listen to these videos and say, this is just harmful baiting or humor. There'd be no way. You would say, without putting the concept in your head, you would say that this is unnatural. This is wrong. Probably go a big multiple amount of further inside your head. At which point you would come to a conclusion that this is just so wrong. Let's just use the word so wrong. Now, you could transfer that over to about 24 other people. And each one of those people have multiple videos to the same egregious level against them from only just one vlogger. So if Warren says there's 862 videos, he certainly doesn't mean there's 862 videos about him. But he might be trying to build a different kind of a case, what they call a competency case. I don't know. But if he wanted to build a competency case against somebody, there's more than 1,000 videos that character of a person. Now, some people think I could say anything I want, and you can't. But sometimes some of the things you say, like, for instance, insinuating that Warren Hunt and I are gay and we suck each other's appendages? Really? How many videos do we have, Warren, of that? How many? Multiple videos? That's just what we have. There are other people that copy all of these videos down. So right now I would say there are 8 videos where it clearly defines the shack guy. The guy's never going to build a hotel. There's clearly definitive strings that will attach the words to the videos to myself, the Australian guy. You just don't get it, do you? You just don't get it. Warren offered the hand. He offered an open invitation and you just can't get it through your fucking head that you keep biting the hand that feeds you. Warren fed you love and strength and security. Going to take everything down off his channel. He gave you this on an open platter, and you come back and bite the fucking hand that's feeding you love and security. Well, Warren is on a little bit of a quest right now, and there are multiple venues that are working with the Warren hunt to bring Warren everything he needs when he gets to the Philippines to fulfill his goals. Now, that includes myself giving Warren the information to get to hotels, the prices of the hotels with the food, the prices of the ambulance service fees, getting a hotel for Warren. I never asked Warren for any compensation for this, and yet I got to hear this bullshit every day. That was another mistake that was made. I don't know why. I don't see why, but I will tell you that as far as adversaries are concerned, I don't see anybody being adversarial to Warren Hunt. I don't even see anybody being adversarial to me, except for that one exception. So what Warren is doing is the 862 videos that he has, that he's been collecting, they're all about him. I will tell you that they're not all about him. There aren't that many. But they are all about multiple different YouTube personalities that have been abused egregiously. And Warren, I don't know why or how, but Warren has the audacity, the tenacity, and the money to give a prosecuting attorney, or what he calls a solicitor, all that information, and to see if they want to work with any of it, or all of it, or what they want to work with. So the can of the Cannes Film Festival, you opened it up, and Warren is going to turn that little juice can into a 55-gallon drum. That's right. Warren is going all the way. That's one of the reasons Warren is coming to the Philippines, aside from the fact that we're going to build a hotel. And Warren has a lot of legal stuff to do here. We have plans, permits, contracts, future legal contracts, legal and binding contracts. Who owns the hotel? What happens if one person gets sick? Does the other person and dies? Does the other person take over? Or does Warren have a prodigy that he wants to give the hotel to? Do I have family that I want to give it to? Do I have a woman in my life that I want to give the lease over to if something happens to me? If Warren comes here and he has a woman, does he want to give? There's a lot of legal issues. So right now, you pissed off Warren. He's been ranting and raving about coming to the Philippines and how happy he is, and all he has to hear for the last 4 days is that he's gay and he's coming here to have sex with Michael Fazio. He doesn't want to hear that shit. But we thank you for the sound bites, and we're going to use them in every way and every shape and every venue and every legal avenue that we can. We're going to use them as defamation of character, slander, maligning, and we might even add a charge of loss of income. Because, you're interfering with my ability to earn money on YouTube. So I got to tell you, the last week has been, as far as video collections have concerned, when Warren showed me the list of videos. It reminded that he has that he's going to use. It reminded me of when we were kids and we would go into the closet and everybody had a shoebox of baseball cards. Well, that's what Warren's file looked like. It reminded me of a shoebox of baseball cards, but it was like video, the vial this and the vial that, and I don't want names of them because you might, but Dave this and Dave that, and DNC this and DNC that, and the other guy this and the other guy that, and Barry. Oh my God, the shit you said about Barry. Oh God, poor Barry. I got to tell you, I have never, ever, not one time, ever had the slightest inclination to talk bad about Barry Jordan. I don't know Barry, and he never said anything about me that I know of, and even if he did, coming from Barry, I'd probably just go right along with it and laugh, because I don't care about certain people say Barry Jordan might talk bad about somebody, and it might even sound malicious, but Barry Jordan could never be malicious to me because there's never been anything for Barry to be malicious about. But I wouldn't do it to him either. You know, I look at Barry as a guy that's doing the best he can in life. I don't care that he's not living up to someone else's standards. I don't care. I've known people like Barry since I was a little kid. And it doesn't make him a bad person. It might be a little bit different. He's actually a survivor. He survived some of the most horrible conditions. Actually makes him a stronger person than most people that he's been able to get this far. But the shit that I have heard against Barry Jordan, and Warren specifically wanted to make sure that those videos were going into his file, into his shoebox. A really, really, really big shoebox that Warren has. 800 plus videos. And all he really needs is 42. 42, that's all he needs. And those are readily available. 42 videos is all it's going to take for Warren to get his point across. But then let's get back to the videotape here. Jack Thompson is in the house, baby. Welcome to the machine. Jack, I called you up twice this morning. I'm sorry, Jack. I got twisted up with another good friend of mine. We spoke for 1 hour and 42 minutes, and we had some laughs. This guy, the guy I spoke with, and we talked about, he has, he doesn't own horses, but he grew up on a farm in the southern part of America, southeastern part of America. And he knows about breeding horses. So I'm on the phone with this, and he's been a long-time friend. So I'm on the phone with my friend, and I started telling him about the horse named Buckaroo that I had when I lived in California in 1970, the summer of 1970. And the horse was 17 hands. It was a big horse, a Western horse. It was a police academy trained horse for a police department. The Vista Police Department was San Diego Police Department. And when that horse was retired, Mr. Austin, who worked as a police officer, took the horse to his ranch. He had a ranch in Vista, California, on Golden Trail, Vista, California. I won't give you the address, but I do know the address. I remember it because I lived there. So, and the horse's name was Buckaroo. And Buckaroo was 17 hands, but also there was a girl named Allison at the bottom of the J&A Ranch. That was the name of Mr. Austin's ranch, the J&A Ranch. So Allison, these are all wealthy people, or wealthy enough to own horses and farms to be on the horse. So Allison had 4 horses, and there was 2 sisters. Allison later became the curator at the one of the sea aquariums in San Diego, the San Diego Sea Aquarium. But then there was another guy. I don't remember his name, but there was another guy that had 2 horses. So one of his horses and 2 of Allison's horses were female horses, and Buck used to service the horses, and Mr. Austin didn't charge money for the servicing, and they would hope to generate a foal for the farm and something that would be sold later on. And what was that other guy's name? I should remember his name. We did enough. I lived there for 3 months. But anyway, so we were talking, this fella and I, from southeastern United States, and he grew up on a farm where there was mules. Mules were on the farm. And he said that the farm that he grew up, now, if you know, there's something about mules. They're pretty smart, but they can't have babies. A female mule, I think. I'm not sure. Something about a male sex with a female horse and it has a mule, but a female mule can't have kids. But either way, or babies, foals. Either way, so we were talking about the goings on of Buckaroo being a big horse, servicing Allison and what the hell was that guy's name? I forgot his name. The other guy's horse, and then my friend in southeastern America and I were talking about the mules and the mess that makes when one mule is mounting a horse or another mule. I mean, it's just an amazing amount of what is called lok in the Philippines. Lok, that's sperm. I mean, that stuff goes everywhere. Lok. If you're ever on a jeepney or a tricycle, and a guy in the Philippines goes lok like that, lok, that means they're talking about masturbation, but typically they're abusing you. So this guy was talking about how the mules go off on each other, and that it makes a mess all over the whole stable. And then we got on talking about horses and who owns horses on the Philippines vlogging community. John escaped. We were talking about John. And John owns horses, and John breeds horses. So a lot of the conversation this morning was about horses and who owns them. John Escape's family owns breeding horses and racing horses, and horses to breed for racing and horses to breed for running in a race without winning, and then horses for breeding race horses. And then, so I don't know how we got off on that subject about horses, but the whole thing, we were laughing for we talked for an hour and 42 minutes, and we were laughing about horse sperm and horses and what the horses rump, the back part of the rump part of the horse, the mess it makes on the horse's rump. And we just laughed our asses off. That's a poetic phrase. We laughed our asses off. Because that's where the phrase laughing ass is. An ass is a mule. No, wait a second. A mule can have babies. An ass can have babies. Anyway, we laughed our asses off talking about horses. What a joke that was. That was probably one of the funniest conversations I ever had. Yeah, Jack, that's true. The Hap says, hello, everyone here and in the chat. Aloha. Warren, also calling people in gay and telling people that they sucked his suck things is considered hate speech and is a criminal offense. Well, of course. And it just depends. See, if you just said to somebody one time, suck my, suck this or suck that, but multiple occasions, multiple times, in multiple videos, and knowing who the person is that you mean, and there's a case going on, to add insult to injury, you're abusing, harassing, stalking, maligning, and slandering a person that you're involved with a lawsuit. I got to tell you, talking about laughing asses off, talking about asses, and that seems to be a big topic in the last few days. Flywoods, the gay's suggestion goes directly to the wow. We have people, I got so many comments here, I'm never going to get through them. Flywoods, any existing hotels coming into foreclosure, many permits already obtained. Oh, there's going to be a shitload of hotels that are going to go out of business. Some of them already did. That all depends on where the hotel is. There's lots of hotels inland that are probably not going to be able to make it through this downturn of economics, but I'm not even slightly interested in that, Flywoods. I live where I want to live, and I want to build a hotel because of the view I have. All right, Mike Johnson, message deleted by Warren H. Mike Johnson, I'm pretty sure Mike Johnson is a troll. And he knows that. He's been here before. Just shit can him. If he's going to continue along that, he knows better, Warren. Just shit can him. Don't worry. Go to his channel and shit can him permanently. Yeah, Flywoods, that's probably a way to go, but you're not going to find that kind of a deal on a beachfront property so easy. So it depends on where you want to live. If you want to live 500 feet away from the water, or 1,000 feet away from the water, or 10 kilometers away from the beach, there's lots of places that are going to be up for sale. But if you want to live on beachfront property, you're not going to find a lot of beachfront properties that go for foreclosure. And even if you did find one near the Alona Beach area, well, I would say that the least expensive lease in Alona Beach for even a 20-foot storefront, let's just say, because that's a major resort area, I would say the least expensive lease for, say, 30-foot wide, and then the rooms go back, right? 30 feet, and there might be 15 rooms. You're looking at $5,000 US a month, plus your bills to run the hotel. So if there was another downturn like this, I'm not going to get involved with the economics of it with your Flywoods. I know that you're a long-term subscriber. I know you mean well, but And your concept is sound and valid. That I will say. But depends on where you want to live. Now, if you want to buy something and you to come to Bahal and you want to talk to me, send me a telephone number. If I have time, I'll give you a call. Typically, I only talk to people that are members of my Patreon community, but you've been a member and a friend for years. I will talk to you on the phone, and I would tell you that everything that you can possibly need to know in 45 minutes of what's going on around here, but I'm not going to do it in a chat window. So you're welcome to somehow send me your telephone number, and I will give you the information if you're serious that you request if you want to do something in Bahal. Other than that, I'm going to go on to the Johnny A. drill. Thank you. Welcome to the machine. Now, he's a long-term subscriber, as is Flywoods. And I know who you are, Flywoods. I mean, I'm not being facetious. I know that you're my friend, and you've been my friend, what, 7, 8 years now? I just don't want to have this back and forth about what's available, what's not available. Right now, in Bahal, where I've been, nothing is available. So the people here, they don't put up for sale signs anyway, but there's nothing. And the cheapest property that's sold on anywhere near me, the cheapest property, and I do remember you have a baby about a year old. The cheapest property sold for 20 million pesos. It was about 340 square. It was 300 square meters, and it sold for 20 million pesos empty, and it was 100 feet from the beach. That was 4 years ago. So there is another property. You won't find anything here, anywhere near Luna Beach or anything on a white sand beach, if that's what you're looking for less than 50 million, a million American dollars is what you're going to be looking at with a building on it. Doesn't matter that they're broke. That doesn't matter that they went out of business. Some Chinese person will come in and give anybody $1 million the next day. Yeah, no. Flywoods is cool. It's that other guy, Mike Johnson. No, Flywoods is cool. Flywoods has been my friend for many, many years. It's that guy, Mike Johnson, who's in bullshit. Well, we got trolls here today. Warren, you bring out the best of these people. Okay, so Warren just hid one person. Mike Johnson, you should know better than to ask those questions. We don't talk about names of channels or anything like that. Why you're doing that is because you're a troll. And if you want to continue to troll, Warren, just shit can them all together. If you want. All right? Because I've had it with this bullshit. Now, we know where you come from. We know where your bread is buttered, Mike Johnson. Your bread is buttered in a completely different venue. I don't know why you come to my channel. You're not going to get away with that crap here. So I'm going to go get a bottle of cold water, and then I'm going to end this live stream. I got some stuff I want to do outside.